Hello everybody, my name's Bobmich and welcome to day 4 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and today we are flying with Aegis Dynamics. Aegis, however you want to pronounce it, but isn't that an intimidating looking sight in the background there? Now I know there's one particular ship that everyone is going to want to see, but we will get there. So we will make our way down into the first of Aegis's floors. Aegis has the most flyable ships in game, I think, so their Expo does not take up one hall, it actually takes up 3, and that's for very good reasons, one of which we'll get to shortly. As always, we have the anvil arrow, which I think has become the set piece, although I imagine it's about to be dethroned within the next few minutes of the show, so you can still rent this out. And to open us up into Aegis's main event, they have this really cool looking... Oh, it's not lit up on this floor. They have like a light up logo on the other floor I was on. So we have the Gladius and we have the Gladius Valiant. So same rules apply as always. If you're doing the free fly event, you can come down to the show floor here. You can rent the ships that are highlighted, as you can see, for 24 hours, and they are yours to fly and play with. Moving down onto the main event floor, it's pretty hard to miss the Reclaimer. So the Reclaimer is the first of the salvage ships that we have flyable in game. We don't have salvaging mechanics yet, but this thing is a behemoth, as you can see. It's absolutely huge if you've never seen one before. It's quite awe-inspiring to fly and run around inside of, with its few decks and, you know, its mess hall and its cabin and everything. The cockpit, if you are wondering, is that little bubble up there. Ooh, glitched out a bit there through my clothing. So there's the cockpit, and it's designed to tear broken ship parts to pieces with this claw, which will extend out, and then it will hoover up the salvage through that tube there that you can see. So it's a very, very unusual spacecraft, and it looks like a giant bug stood here. Over to the right hand side then, we have some of the Avenger variants, I noticed. So these are the Penguins, we call them the Penguin, that's their nickname because of the colours that they are. So this one's the Warlock, so this one's the EMP variant. If I can open the back door, which hopefully I should be able to do. I can rent it, open door, there we go. And this Alpha's bugged out there, but if we step inside, here we go. So the rear of this Avenger is just one giant EMP generator, so it has a stronger EMP than the Saber Raven. This variant is the Titan. So if you've ever watched any of my streams and, you know, people say what's a good starter ship, or board gamers' mindset is exactly the same as mine, we are both in very much agreement that the Avenger Titan is the best kind of all-round ship that's the lower cost one of the group at the minute, because you can do so much with this ship. And, you know, it doesn't break the bank if you want to pledge the game and you want a ship that can do things in the alpha today. Next, we have the Vanguard Hoplite. So, one of the Vanguard ships. I think this is the one that's a crew carrier. I could be wrong. People are going to correct me. I'm not that much of a combat ship person, as I have said many times before. But this is one of the Vanguard variants. What have we got over the other side? There's one of the cool light-up logos, look. It's one of the things that if you've ever been to a convention in real life and you see something cool, and if you're part of the crew or whatever, you go up to them and go, are you guys using that for the next one? Can I take that home and like put that in my bedroom? Because I think it'd make a really cool display piece. Can I put the giant Aegis logo in my living room? Okay, so on this side we have the Saber variants. So here we've got the Saber Comet, which, as I have said before, like the Hornet Wildfire and the Avenger Titan Renegade, I imagine, which will be around here somewhere, and the Gladius Valiant we saw up there. These are special ships that are earmarked after ace pilots, so it's their kind of livery and loadout for these ships. So over here is the normal Saber, so this is the mass-produced one, if you like. And you can see, even just looking here, they have a different loadout. So, whereas this Saber is doused in laser repeaters, the Saber Comet over here has a set of laser repeaters up on the nose. Like so. Oh, they've actually changed the loadout. It's not repeaters anymore. That looks like an Omnisky cannon to me. And they have pyroburst scatterguns on the wings. So I'm very much tempted to pick one of these comets up because I do love the Saber comet. Even though the camouflage on it is entirely useless, I still think it looks very, very, very cool. So, this is floor A. If you head down to the Expo, come and have a look, come and hire a reclaimer, and then good luck spending an hour trying to get it out of Lorville's atmosphere, I imagine. We will head back up, and then I will go to floor B, and we'll take over from there. Someone's got the priorities right in the Expo. Look, they're carrying their tub of Big Bennies around. They obviously saw what we were doing yesterday. Okay then, Hall B. Not as intimidating, with the reclaimer not looming over us anymore. So we'll make our way down to the floor here. And we still have the Arrow and 2 Gladius variants showcasing our way in here. But as you can see, we have a different host of ships on the shop floor this time. So we'll start with the left this time, shall we? So we have the 2 Sabers again, but you can just see hidden in the corner there this time. We'll make our guy sprint over there. This is the Saber Raven, and I'm actually quite surprised that they are letting you rent this ship. So for those who didn't know, the Saber Raven is an, I think it's best described as an EMP Interceptor, because it has an EMP like the Warlock we saw earlier on, but it's not as powerful as the Warlock's EMP. And this ship was only available if you purchased an Intel Optane 900 series SSD, or NvMe SSD I suppose, because it came with a code that you could use to get this ship, and it gave you this ship, and it was a game package. So if you'd not had a game package before, this let you play the game with the Saber Raven. So it's quite a little fun combat ship. It's kind of my only sort of combat ship at the minute, because I do own a Saber Raven, and it's got these laser cannons here. I tend to switch these out for pyro bursts because I quite like brawling in this thing, but yeah, I'm surprised they are letting you rent this, but apparently they are. So if you've never flown a Saber Raven before, now is your chance, because this may be your only opportunity to do so for a long time. We will zoom across to the other side. So it's pretty obvious there that in the middle of the floor is the lovely Hammerhead Corvette gunship. The ship that I always love to say gives a giant middle finger to anything it doesn't like. Placed brilliantly on this fantastic looking podium in the middle here is the Eclipse. So the Eclipse is obviously Aegis's stealth bomber. So very, very heavily influenced from the B2 Spirit, as I'm sure many of you can already see. This thing's fantastic. I owned one of these for a little while, and they have since made the torpedoes that this thing launches a bit more viable in combat, so this thing's a lot more lethal now than it was when it first came out. So these things are very, very fun to fly. We'll have a quick look at the Hammerhead as we run around, because I imagine most people have seen one of these by now. So this is the new Hammerhead Corvette that was released with 3.3, with the patch that came out just before the one that gave us Hurston. And as you can see, it's covered in turrets and has a very unusual cockpit because it's kind of underslung. That music is very loud. And it is literally a hammerhead. So this inside here, there is a corridor that you can walk around. However, you can tell that the whole front end of the ship is reinforced. So it just quite literally can batter through what it doesn't like and pretty much cleave it in half if it's going quick enough. So, moving over to the opposite side, we have the Penguin family. It looks like we have the whole family this time. So we've got the Warlock again, so the EMP generator, the Avenger Stalker. So the Avenger Stalker is a little bit different. Has a different loadout. They all have different weapons loadouts. But in the Stalker this time, this one doesn't have its cells. That's strange. So it's meant to have like prison cells inside. So this one is a bounty hunting ship, so you can store prisoners inside. This one's going to be the Stalker. No, that one's the Titan. Okay, so the infographic was wrong. There you go. There's an on-recording blooper for you. Is the alpha fixed? Ah, here we go. So yeah, this is the Stalker. So these cells here, you can capture prisoners and put them inside. You can't lock them as yet, so you can't troll people with it, which is no bad thing. And here is the special livery version, again after the Ace pilots that we talked about earlier on, of the Penguin family. So this is the Avenger Titan Renegade. So it is effectively the same ship as the Titan, which is this one here, where you saw the open cargo bay, but it's just a different colour and it is a different weapons loadout. Instead of the laser repeaters, it's got ballistic cannons, as you can see. Moving over here, we have the Aegis Retaliator. So this thing is a big bomber, and at the minute there is only the bomber variant of it in game. There's going to be another variant which is the base, so you can kind of customize the inside of it, maybe to cargo or some other purpose yet, like a specialized dropship. But it's got turrets, it's got very cool wings, it looks amazing and it looks incredible when it's flying. And at the minute, the one you can fly here carries 9, I think, size 9 torpedoes inside it, so the biggest ordnance in game, and they are very effective against the larger ships, such as the Hammerhead over there. Over here, we've got the Hoplite again. And we also have the Warden. So the Warden is the more combat variant. I think it can carry people, but the Warden is the sort of a heavy gunship variant. So you can see they both have turrets on, and these things are pretty meaty if you fight these in combat. So I do like them, even though they're not my kind of combat ship. I will not keep you in suspense any longer for those who have been watching and waiting for this video, or this kind of show floor, but we will now go to the what is, I suppose many people will call, is the main attraction. So we will see you on the next floor. Here we go then. Welcome to the Idris Pavilion, and it's pretty obvious what's going on in here, even though we have the little anvil arrow there still taking up the main area. This is the Aegis Idris. This is going to be one of the few capital ships that we are going to have in game, and as you can see, it's absolutely huge. There isn't a lot I can say about this that many people won't have already said, but this is the smallest of the capital ships. So this is a frigate, and as you can see, I don't even need to begin to show you how large this thing is. I'll do my best to give you some kind of size reason, although it's not going to be easy to portray from a video. You're going to have to either see this thing in game or look at some other detailed pictures of it. The fact that I have to go down 2 flights of stairs to get the floor to reach it is kind of crazy in itself. So this is the Idris frigate. This front nose cone here opens up, and it's almost like a little carrier inside because it can carry some combat ships. You can see the giant engine pod there, which is probably about the size of a Constellation, which is just ludicrous. One of the main things about this though is this forward firing railgun. So this thing here that pokes out the end is, I believe it's a size 10 weapon that is a railgun. Just look at how large this thing is, it's insane, and it's got some of those huge bearing cannons up top there. I can't get over how big this thing is. I haven't yet been down here before I recorded this. I should note, this is the first time I'm running around underneath this thing. We can't get inside it because the interior is not complete. It's kind of like the 300i and the F8 that we saw. You can't rent this, obviously, and it's not flyable yet, but they've put the mesh on display for us. Give you some idea, we'll do a third-person view here, and I will have myself run up to the landing gear, and you can kind of give yourself some idea of how insanely sized this thing is compared to a person. It's just incredible. There's one of the underslung turrets, as you can see, with those things itself carrying huge laser repeaters on it. There's one of the lower thrusters. The lower thrusters which, let's face it, if you were stood under here, would probably toast you in milliseconds. And some more landing gear. And another engine pod, again probably as big as a Freelancer or a Constellation. This thing is just mind-blowingly big, and this is the kind of thing that when it comes to the game engine itself, what we needed the object container streaming for, because without the object container streaming this thing would just kill the game. So it's very important stuff. Wow. I'm just in awe of how big this thing is. So there we go. That is day 4 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Again, if you aren't taking part in the free flight, please, please, please come and play and see these things for yourself, and see this thing for yourself, because it's just ridiculous. And come and fly some of the ships. You may not be able to fly this thing. You can still fly the Hammerhead. You can still fly the Reclaimer. They are still two of the biggest ships in game. They're still both insane in their own right. I haven't yet tried to fly a Reclaimer out of Lorville's atmosphere, Hurston's atmosphere rather, but I have flown a Hammerhead out, and it does take a while, but it gets there. I imagine the Reclaimer's a bit slower though. And not to boot, you've got all those incredible combat ships to come and fly as well and do pirate missions with, so you can go and destroy the NPC pirate ships in Yellow's asteroid belt. So please, please, please come and join us and take part in the free flight. All you need to do is register an account. It is free. You do not need to pay a penny. Come and download this game and fly some internet spaceships. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for sticking with me. I will see you on day 5.